All right, let's take a look at jack planes. Jack plane, the jack of all trades. 4, 5, 5.5. This is my personal jack plane. It's a number 5. Veritas from Woodcraft. And this is a Stanley, made in USA. This looks like it's so it says 5 1/4. This is one that we use here in the classroom. Let's take a look at the difference. One gets a little more attention, huh? So we're going to address this issue with this student tool. We're going to start with disassembly. Pull up our lever cap here. The lever releases the cam. Then we can remove our iron and chipper. We can see we've got some dust in there. Next thing we're going to do is separate the iron from the chipper by loosening this screw. We're just going to go ahead and remove it completely. You can see it's just a couple of threads that holds that screw in there. Now, we're getting buildup in our chipper. We want to prevent this. We've also looked like we had a ding on this iron. I'm not sure that we can see anything here. Oh yeah, we can absolutely see right there. Nice ding on that. And we're gonna wanna smooth that out so this cuts properly. What we will need for this today, I'm just gonna do a basic quick sharpen on our stone. I've already got some oil on here as I was sharpening up a chisel earlier. I'm gonna start getting my flat. I just work in a circular motion, putting pressure down to keep that iron flat on the stone. Now work around the stone so we don't work a spot into it. Flatten one spot in the stone compared to the other. Wipe off my excess here. And now we're just going to draw our iron across the stone. If we take a look, we can see that my iron is wider than my stone. Maybe you can see that. Let's get over here. There we go. So we're going to draw it at an angle. What I do is I'll set my iron on there, 2 fingers on top, and when I feel that bevel, that's when I draw back. Right? So we can rock that iron until we feel where it wants to be. They do sell honing guides that you can set that will set this angle, but I find a little bit of patience and we can find that spot ourselves. Now again, I don't want to work just one side. We're going to turn it and work both ways. We don't want to put a spot in that stone. Throw a little more oil on there. Now, if you feel resistance, more than just a burr building up on the edge, don't draw back. I think a lot of people's tendency when they put an iron or a chisel to the stone is to do like they see in the movies and go fast. But there is nothing wrong with taking a little bit of time to make sure we do it right. The other thing I'll do is I'm doing irons, especially for a jack plane, is I'll put my fingers on the outside like you can see here, because really we want to wind up with a convex edge. That means we want to see exactly what we're seeing here. You can see the polished edges showing up out here more than in the center. Now we want to see that polished edge all the way across, and we definitely want to remove this ding right here. Can we see that? We're going to keep working out a little bit here. Some people will go back and forth. I prefer to just draw my iron back. I find I have more control pulling back than I do trying to push forward like this. Perhaps you can hear what this sounds like as we're working it. We want to hear that consistent sound every time we're drawing it across our stone. Let's see. So what we're doing here is we're feeling for a burr on the backside because we did a lot of work on our bevel. You can see very clearly where we've got our polished edges out here on the edge and up here at the end of the bevel as well. Give it one more pass back here. Now really, once we get this edge, we want to strop that edge to ensure it's as razor sharp as we can get it. One way I learned to do that years ago, I don't know how well it works or how accurately, but is to take a piece of hardwood and just draw across the end grain. And I have where I feel a micro burr on the back side of this. I have definitely felt that burr removed and stropping across our end grain like this. And what I'm doing right now, I'm feeling for a burr, I feel nothing. I want to do the same thing for our chipper. Now if you take a look, it's maybe not in the worst shape, but it's not the best either. So we're going to take this. Now this, if we look, we have a flat right here. We want that to be as flat as possible. So we're going to have to hold this on the stone a little differently to get our flat. I'm going to come out to the edge of the table here. Draw the other side. Now we don't need this to be sharp, we just need this to be flat. This is what helps keep material from building up, like we saw a moment ago. Let's go ahead and return our iron to our chipper. And we want to check our fit here. Are we coming in flat? It looks like we might be. Start the screw, but we don't want to tighten it yet because we want to adjust our chipper. Now here you can see we're probably just under 1/8 of an inch there. I prefer to run my chipper much closer to that edge of the iron. I'm shooting for maybe a 64th, maybe a 32nd, a business card or two, right? Right like that. Now we're going to crank that set screw down. We're going to double check, make sure everything looks good here, and it does. We can return our iron and chipper assembly to our plane. But first, I want to check my adjustments here on the plane. We have an adjusting lever, and we have a frog, this whole assembly right here. You can see we've got 2 screws here. Some will have a screw back here as well. This one doesn't. So these 2 screws, if we loosen these, we can adjust the whole frog assembly forward and backwards, toe to heel. And we do this has this adjustment for different types of wood that we're planing, right? For a hardwood, we want a much smaller mouth or space between our iron and the backside of the toe. So let's put our iron in. With jack planes, the iron always goes down, the chipper goes on top. Now, we can see when we look at this, we've got about a 1/16 of an inch in there. Maybe a 32nd. And that looks good to me. So we're going to leave our frog adjustment for now. If we do need to adjust this frog, like I said, we loosen these screws and that whole assembly moves forward and backward. Make sure we line up on our adjusting lever. Put our lever cap back on. And tighten that down. Now, when I adjust the depth, what I do personally is I'll use my finger. So right now, my iron is above the sole of my plane. I want it to protrude just enough to take off a ribbon shave. So I'm gonna turn my wheel here clockwise with my finger, being very careful not to draw my finger back because it will cut. And I'm just feeling for that edge to show up. Once we can feel that edge, we're going to inspect. What we're looking for is one side sticking out more than the other. And here, I definitely feel a little more over on this side. We use our adjusting lever to change. And you can see this side went up as I pull the lever over, right? So I'm going to go back the other direction. That should be good. And the last thing we'll do is we're going to test our plane, see how well it works. Now, I've got large hands, so I put my finger up on top just for comfort on this handle. I've got my other hand on my front knob here. Little baby ribbon. Let's get a little bit more. There we go. Now we can give little adjustments on our wheel here. I'm just turning maybe 1 or 2 degrees at a time. Look at that. That's what we're going for. There we can see it does load up in here a little bit. Let's see how it goes as we keep playing it here. We can go even a little bit more on that. Now, if we back our iron out, if we go too far with this iron and we start backing the wheel up by spinning counterclockwise, we need to make sure that we draw it back until we feel it snug. So let's see what that looks like. If we turn this wheel back, feel that, see that loose area? Now it's going snug. That'll back it up. We want to avoid this loose play. So we dial it back up to where we feel snug, and we can turn that just a hair. If this wheel is too difficult to turn, we just back off our cap screw. Just a 1/16 of a turn, 1/8 of a turn. And those are the ribbons we're looking for.